I'm Christine Hernandez.
I'm Taylor Thomas. We're the founders of Impact Initiative, and we want to talk about setting goals that you're actually excited about. So, this time of year, we see a lot of language around goal setting, see a lot of language around New Year's resolutions, around setting a clear intention for the year to come. Certainly in the entrepreneurial and the leadership space, we are prompted to set goals for what we want to accomplish, who we want to be, how we want to show up, the team we want to have, the revenue that we want to produce. The list goes on. What we have found is that often this is a really it's a really touchy subject for a lot of people. It is a place and an exercise that's often filled with friction, and we want to just unpack a little bit about why that is, right? And how you can shift your perspective and how you can shift your approach around goal setting and how you can get really clear on what this year looks like and actually be excited about that. So, the first thing that we encounter is that when we get pushback and when we talk to people about goals and they say, I'm just too tired, I'm worn out, I don't have the clarity, I don't feel like I can get there, my mind's not in the right place, I just don't want to do this right now, right? And every year Christine and I work with people all around the world, and this is a common sentiment. And really what that boils down to is because that comes from a place of misalignment. You're tired, you're worn out, you're feeling bogged down, you don't have clarity because you've been chasing goals that you're not excited about, right? You've spent the last year or several years moving in the direction of things that are not in alignment with what you care about. And you're not clear on what you care about, maybe. Maybe you don't know what that alignment looks like. You don't know where you should be spending your time, where you should be investing your energy. Um, and so this is a place we want to focus, right? We want to reflect. We want to clearly define what those areas are. What does get you excited? What is and does alignment look like, so that you can set goals that move you in that direction. And then we also want to talk about what it looks like to do things that are hard, right? So another place where this creates friction is that setting big goals is scary. Um, Forecasting out in advance, a year ahead, that's filled with things that are going to be challenging, writing those things down, committing to them, putting them out there, and then knowing that it's going to push us is something that's really, really hard. And it's hard to butt up against and kind of stare down that hardship, stare down the very real likelihood of failure. And so there's a massive opportunity to reframe failure, to reframe the value of doing hard things. Because ultimately, what we know is that on the other side of that failure, when we push through the hard, when we commit to showing up for ourselves, again, in alignment with who we are and what we want, that there's opportunity on the other side of that. So ultimately, the narrative can shift and needs to shift around the true value of failure, what's on the other side of that, and the fact that recognizing that something is hard actually tells us we're moving in the right direction. It's okay that it's hard. It's okay that we don't have all of the skills that we need. It's okay that we don't have the people around us yet to take us where we want to go. It's nothing but opportunity. And yes, those things are going to be hard, but we know that when we put ourselves in those positions, they lead to really amazing things and goals that we're actually excited about. So, Christine, help us understand that a little bit more, provide a little bit more nuance and context so that people can set goals and get clear on the year ahead.
Well, I think one of the most important things that you and I have talked about and you and I have discovered is that there's a difference between hard and miserable. And really, that the biggest difference when we look at even the definitions of these two things is one allows us doing something hard that actually means that we are moving towards something that matters. We're firm or we're solid in where we're going, and we can interact in a way that we can move through challenges because we're clear on where we're going. Misery or doing something because we can go, man, this feels miserable. The difference between doing something hard or something being miserable is that misery doesn't have a final destination or a process even that we care about. We're not moving in alignment with something that we actually desire, we want. We don't have an understanding of what's at the end or on the other side of this challenge. So we're just doing it to do it, and it doesn't seem like there's any end. It doesn't seem like we have a clear understanding of like really what we're going to get at the end of this, and we don't really know who we're going to become through it. So it's just for hard's sake, right? We don't have this understanding of where we're going, which happens when we don't set clear and concise goals. And so I find so many times I've had in the last couple of years more leaders say, I'm done setting goals. And that's really challenging, because if you're done setting goals, then you don't really know where you're going. If you don't have a clear direction, and they're like, well, I just am going to surrender and trust what comes my way. Like, that's great. I'm all on I'm on board from driving and working in a place of rest or surrender, because that's healthy. We shouldn't be constantly hustling or grinding. That's what burns us out. But if we have a clear understanding and a clear direction, it allows us to actually do the hard things and not live miserable. Because the other side of that is, if you don't know where you're going, you will end up still having to do hard things. Hard in this world is not a choice. It's something that everybody has to interact with. And I think one of the key things that can help with this is laying down the idea of resolutions. New Year's resolutions don't work. We can look at studies, we can look at science, from a standpoint of the brain or psychology. What we're saying, even in that idea of resolution, is you're outlining a problem. If you have to find a resolution, it's because you have a problem. So if you're setting up your goals from a state of trying to solve a problem, the same thing is for weight loss. I want to lose weight. Well, guess what? Your brain doesn't know what that means. You're setting a goal from a state of loss. That never works. When we look at the psychology or even how the brain interacts with that, it doesn't work, because you're saying my goal is to lose something. Well, the brain doesn't like loss. So we're already setting ourselves up for failure, because you're focusing on something that the brain actually doesn't desire. So to gain muscle, to be strong, or resolution, I want to set an intention or plan have a goal. That actually works better. It also works better because it's usually not 50 things, it's one thing. That's why I usually set an intention. We're going to show you how to do that in our upcoming workshop. Set an intention for the year versus have all of these New Year's resolutions. So your brain actually has something to focus on, and it knows the direction it wants to go. And even if the details in that change, we can actually stay in alignment, because we're like, oh, look, this is my intention. Even though the goal changed, my year intention is this. And so I don't set New Year's resolutions because I don't have problems. I have opportunities that I want to take advantage of. And if we set an intention that's in alignment with that, we're going to be excited to move forward. We're going to want to move forward. We're not going to be miserable as we're moving forward. We're going to look at that obstacle and we're going to look at the challenge in front of us to reach that goal. And we're going to be excited because we know where we're going and we have an intention of which allows us to adjust those details and track success and failure. So some of these things can really help us, even from a mindset perspective, as we go into a practice like setting goals and mapping out the year. There's disappointment that's going to happen. Acknowledging that you shouldn't have the best year ever. That's another thing that every time I just was on social media and I saw 4 thought leaders that said, have the best 2024 ever. Well, I hope it's not your best year. I hope that you get to find really amazing success and satisfaction and alignment in every year. I hope to God it's not your best year, because that means it's downhill after this year, right? We should consistently be moving forward, and there's going to be good in every year, but every year isn't going to be the best year ever. So I am like, I want to vomit every time I see that kind of language, because it just sets us up for failure. Because then if you don't find the best year ever, you're wondering what happened or what you did wrong. And we're already looking for a way to internalize that information of, I didn't do good enough. I didn't, you're going to grow every year, regardless of if you're trying to or not. Just what way do you want to grow? So I think just look at how, first step, I would say, and we do so much of this in our upcoming workshop, but the first thing is just look at how you're actually interacting with some of your goal setting practices and process, and does it serve you? So Taylor, tell us a little bit more about what that is, and the upcoming workshop, so people can really know if it's for them or if they want to hop into this to be supported.
So, if any of this language resonates, if you are someone who has struggled to set goals or to engage in a goal setting process, if you are someone who has found yourself at the end of the year or at any particular time feeling like you haven't accomplished what you want, or you're not clear on what you want, or you are where you're at and you're not sure if that's in alignment with any particular direction or if it's actually your actions are taking you where you want to go, we have a really powerful and a really tactical process for helping people set goals, where we pinpoint on the area that you want to focus. We provide an opportunity for reflection, and then we get really clear on what it looks like to set goals in alignment with that are actually engaging, that you're actually excited about, that are actually tactical. So, like you said, Christine, it's not a pie in the sky resolution. It's something you can actually put to work in your life, in your business, in your leadership practice. Tomorrow when you go to work. So that's going to be January 17th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Mountain Standard Time. It is a virtual 90-minute workshop that it's open to everyone. And we have done this for several years now, and it is massively impactful for everyone that shows up, not only because of the exercise that we will guide you through, but also because you have the opportunity to engage with other thought leaders. You're able to be in community and collaborate with people that have similar experiences to you, or have hit roadblocks or had big wins or big losses. And so it's always impactful and it's always valuable to be around people just to help with that reframe, right? To help you get some perspective. You got to get that pattern interrupt. You got to get out of your bubble. You got to talk to different people that have different experiences so you can gain new perspective. And when we think about the year ahead, one of the most important things we can do is gain new perspective. Well, it doesn't make any sense to imagine a scenario where you can have a new perspective by doing the exact same thing that you're doing now, talking to the exact same people that you typically talk to, stay in the same rooms, stay in the same office, the list goes on. So to get that pattern interrupt, that's why this workshop is so impactful. So again, that's January 17th, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can find all the information at the link at the bottom of this video. You can sign up for our newsletter at impactinitiative.network. You can find the links on social media. You can search Impact Initiative on all social media platforms. So we hope to see you there. It's going to be, again, a really incredible experience and a chance to get a ton of clarity moving into the new year. So we hope to see you there.